and the COVID-19 solidarity response globally, and looking at the WHO, the World Health Organization's vaccination target on countries. My name is Philip Omo-Gyupon, and I have distinguished personalities with me on set, and we are looking at these areas most especially as it beholds before the governments of the world to ensure that they vaccinate their population. Now, WHO target is that 10% of the population of every country should have been fully vaccinated at the end of September, and today is already October. It means that a lot of countries, like reports have it, over 50 are unable to meet that target, and Nigeria is below 4% fully vaccinated, and that again is causing ripples on what to be done really to fast track development in this direction. Joining me at my extreme left, as I always want to start from the extreme, I have a legal practitioner, a public affairs analyst, and he goes by the name St. Michael Egwaugie. Thanks for joining me, Michael.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
And next to him is a politician and, of course, a political analyst. Is Roy Oribabo. Thanks for joining me, Roy.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I think I'll start with you, Roy, because we have this whole challenge where the vaccination process is still at its lowest ebb. Now, we understand that the COVAX sharing scheme, which a lot of African countries and low-income countries rely upon, still not able to get much doses. We understand also that the serum country of institute, which is based in India, at April suspended exportation in order for India to take attention on its needs, the needs of the citizenry. That again is a stopgap. That again is a challenge, a setback. And we have issues where a lot of countries, super countries for instance, who really told manufacturers to develop these vaccines for their countries. Even while the vaccines are being processed, they already got a leeway to get the first doses. And that again is hindering some low-income countries and African countries from getting this. What do you make of all of this? Are we making progress?
Of course, we are making progress because we are making progress at mainly peak disposition. When you look at the whole scenario and the world, the solidarity, how far they have cared about the lesser countries, so to speak, we agree with me that until they are done with their people, before they will remember that there is somebody behind. And therefore, they are saying Africa. Africa is behind, whether you like it or not, especially with the population we have in Nigeria. When someone were growing up in those days, vaccine was not a big deal. Vaccine is never a rocket science. It also shows and demonstrates that Nigeria as a country, that we are not doing well in this aspect. I recall vividly in Yaba, we have a factory who produces a vaccine for this country. That's at the level of most of the issues that happen in this country. We were able to formulate an indigenous vaccine that serves as a panacea out there. Therefore, when you are relying on person to be the caretaker of your life, you cannot operate on the same speed with that person. You must give it to them. And that is what is happening in the international community. Okay. Immediately United States, they are done with it, they will not remember. You even see a country like Israel, they produce to the extent that they look at their bill and say, most of these their vaccine they have is about to even be expired. They say, who do we give it to? I remember they shipped it to some country and the country said, no, we will not take it. And some countries in Africa were stretching their hand and say, bring it. We don't even know the implication of all those things. And what was even baffling me about this vaccine, the whole scenario about vaccine now, the most touching part of it is that the United Kingdom, the government of United Kingdom just inform us now that our vaccine certificate is immaterial before them. They don't recognize it. Then you now ask yourself, what is the answer for me? I went to go and take my vaccine, now somebody is telling me somewhere that it's not recognized. And that has further demoralized the people of Nigeria. Nigeria government must, at this material time, show their capacity. That of a truth that the people have the government. That of a truth that they can formulate a workable direction for us. And of a truth that they are in charge of the leadership. A situation where people struggle to go and take the job, and you are telling another country somewhere saying that I will not recognize this. There is no anything whether that people will be demoralized. Immediately I received the news, I have also personally been disorganized and emotionally unbalanced over the whole situation. Look at the pain all of us passed through to go and take this vaccine. And now a country is saying we don't recognize it. The only thing the Nigerian government was able to show and inform us is that they are shocked. If the Nigerian government, I pray they don't perpetually remain shocked, because if they remain perpetually in shock, we the followers, we have no option than to resort to faith. And it's quite very disturbing. The world have demonstrated that of the truth is possible. We see some African countries who are saying, well, we can come up with our own vaccine. You see a country like Senegal, they are doing well in terms of this vaccine. They are doing well because they came to this COVID facility. There's a facility Nigeria as a country can key in to develop this vaccine. What is going on? What is going on in our institution? Where are the intellectuals? Where are the academicians? Where are the scientists we have ever been training over the years in this country? Then you begin to wonder what is wrong with us as a people. Is it how God said we should rule ourselves, or is just man-made?
Okay. But if you recall, there have been various drives to develop vaccines in Africa. There have been various drives. I mentioned Senegal now.
Yes,
there have been various drives.
I think so
you can't say countries are really sitting at limbo.
I'm replying based on the question you asked me. We are talking about the word solidarity in regards to the vaccine. Okay. And I'm telling you that you cannot get the vaccine directly from those who are in charge until they are satisfied with their people. It's only when you are satisfied that you can say, well, you share with me. If you are not satisfied, you will not tell me, you will not allow me to share with you. That is just a reminiscence of what is happening in the world today. That the Nigerian government is not doing what they are supposed to do. That is the reason why we are now begging. In the international communities, Nigeria is not different from a beggar. We are begging for vaccine. Any country we know that want to do away with vaccine, and we are soliciting for it. We are now begging for vaccine. Is that the kind of nation we want to live? These are the issue of border, because to get a vaccine is not a rocket science. And we have scientists. It happened in this country before. I just told you in Yaba, Lagos. It happened. What does it take for Nigeria? This has been legal for almost 2 years, if not more than. Why can they not reduce us as a mere beggar?
Okay, thank you very much. This is not restricted to Nigeria alone. We're looking at the World Health Organization vaccination target. And looking at it, it seems like what Raul Babo said. It seems the developing countries are at the masses of the developed countries. Now, what do you see before the World Health Organization to close the gap in this respect? Michael.
I'd like to firstly adopt the submissions of my friend here, hook, line, and sinker, without exception, and to continue from where he left off. He asked a very material question, a question which is very, very germane to where we stand at the moment. Where are the intelligentials? Where are the academicians? I remember what Gali Manamba said a long time ago in this country when he was still the Speaker of the House of Representatives. He said the reason why Nigeria is not a work in progress today is because we are governed by people who have a first-class brain but third-class mind.
But don't forget, the topic is not restricted to Nigeria.
Yes,
it's a global issue.
Yes, I know. Like he said, Africa is far, far behind. The target, set by who? That's World Health Organization.
Yeah,
it's likely not going to be, feasible, especially as it relates, to Africa.
Then what should the developing countries do? Because we are concerned about closing the gap.
The reason being that the nations in Africa are consuming nations. We don't produce. The vaccines that we are talking about are produced substantially and largely by Western nations. They are not produced by Africans. So if you are asking Africa that does not produce vaccine to ensure that at least 10% of our population is vaccinated by a certain period, it means the target, to my mind, is laughable. It's not realizable. It's not feasible.
Okay, but can't there be improvement on bilateral relationship? You know, having agreements between countries, like the Institute of Serum, based in India. He's seen as the biggest company.
2-3 things
on that vaccine
is the way forward.
So can there be a relationship?
2-3 things is the way forward.
India and the other countries.
It was Socrates that said, when all things seem to be going wrong and nothing seemed to be going right, he said, look inward, because the question, the answer to the question is in you. He concluded by saying, man, know thyself. We have, you know, people with brains in this country, scientists, first-class scientists. One of them, you know, used to be a vice chancellor of my alma mater, Professor Dennis Edokpagbe Agbonlao. He's a renowned, you know, scientist globally. You know, the question that is begging for answer is, has governments, you know, been able to galvanize the necessary resources and place it at the disposal of these persons, you know, to work with? You see, it is no longer news in this country that ASU have perennially embarked on strike. Because of what? Because of lack of resources, lack of equipment and tools to work. The problem we have in this country at the moment is the absence of a sense of compass because of obvious, you know, leadership deficiency. As we speak in this country, it appears that the leadership of this country has gone to sleep.
Okay, but like, again, I want to remind you again, like looking at the basics of this discussion.
It is because
we're talking about how the
leadership
World Health Organization
that has made Nigeria to become a begging nation. Look, to put it directly to you.
Okay.
Let's call a spade a spade. Nigeria at the moment has become a doping ground for vaccines. If vaccine is rejected in South Africa, Nigeria will rush to go and collect it.
But let's not localize this topic.
If vaccine is rejected in Mexico, Nigeria will go for it. Nigeria has become a begging nation.
The way you are treating it,
we are begging for
a local topic.
It's disturbing.
The question I asked him was, what should the WHO do in terms of closing the gap between developed nations and developing nations? Like you did say that the developed nations who really demanded for the doses, even while these companies were still developing these vaccines before they were even given authority to really call them vaccines, they already went ahead, you know, to have relationships to even bankroll these companies, the manufacturers. Now, how can WHO, as the World Health Organization, closing the gap, bridge the gap between developing and developed nations in order to get, if not equal vaccination exercise, but at least to get nearly equal vaccination? What do you think is at stake?
What is at stake is very direct. You have to ask yourself, what are the functions of World Health Organization? To me, World Health Organization,
and who's in charge in World Health Organization?
They are supervising organization that they don't really determine what comes out of your head in terms of management of your Ministry of Health as an individual nation. You recall that my friend Donald Trump told US they were pulling out of the World Health Organization. At the time, they were the highest funder of World Health.
So Donald is your friend?
Donald Trump, yes. I'm a great supporter of Donald Trump. Do you understand? What does that show to you? That will weaken the World Health Organization. And World Health Organization cannot directly go to US and tell US this is the kind of vaccine you need. The US or China, they are already on top of their game in terms of formulation of this vaccine. Therefore, when you are telling about World Health Organization, I'm also looking at them as a country that supervises. You can only a lecturer can supervise you based on what you have on ground. That is what the Benin will say. Why Asugo? What the third world nation like Nigeria is championing now? What do we have on ground?
Nothing.
that the World Health will not come and supervise.
Nothing.
So closing the gap, can the World Health Organization now mandate the company producing AstraZeneca, Moderna vaccine, Johnson & Johnson to come and give it to us?
Free of charge.
It's not possible. These are some of the issues when you are talking about.
But you can also encourage donations, funds.
How do you
like we have the COVID-19 solidarity response fund?
Yes, that is the covers. How do you get all those things? But it's based on the money that people put in there. You know, he who pay the piper, the tools. Those who contribute heavily must take care of their citizens first. So that when we are talking about closing the gap, it still remains a miracle to me that a country who are putting in so much in World Health Organization, then the World Organization will now look back and say, no, what you have produced, this 10 million you have so far produced, before you take this 10 million to your country, take 8 million from Israel, take it to Nigeria, because we are the largest black race on earth. But because there's a country somewhere who cannot manage their resources, there's a country somewhere that have become very docile to the level that they cannot produce a vaccine. Is that how the World Organization will now influence the rest country? What we need to do, I've told you before and I will continue to, this is the time for all of us to look for an indigenous method to serve as a panacea to the predicament that is confronting us as a nation. This is not time for we to be looking at the World Health Organization to come and rescue us. I expect by now, we have NAFDAC in this country, that people are on the lab working to develop vaccine, that we will not be telling the World Health Organization.
NAFDAC has become a rubber stamp.
The World Health Organization, this is what we have. Come and look at what we have. Even there are some vaccines that are still questionable in the world now, but they are all in Africa.
Nigeria, to be specific.
Let me elevate Nigeria. Let me just mention Africa. They are in Nigeria. Are you not aware that some of the vaccines that were 2 days, 2 weeks to expire, they will find themselves in Nigeria? Those are the vaccines you and I are rushing to take. There is no even medical evaluation on it.
Philip is aware.
We are not. There is no information from the NAFDAC. How do we manage all these things? People are dying. A very prominent Nigerian died a few days ago after taking the 2 jabs. We were told that it's not because he took the jab, it's because I was on the illness. Then you begin to ask yourself, where are we heading to in this country? You are telling us this man died of COVID-19. If you know he did not die, he had an illness. Why are you telling? Why not just shut up and then let the people, the family, tell us that this man died?
Williams?
I don't want to mention.
Let's not make it rowdy.
I don't want to.
I'll come back to you.
We must be
you raised an issue that has to do with the attitude of the people towards being vaccinated. I want you to take a cue from that. What do you see as the attitude? Because some embrace it, while others still feel that they are still skeptical about it. Do you think this attitude would help to meet the target set by the WHO?
Not at all. You see, the indifference and lackadaisical attitude of the people is largely due to the insincerity on the part of governments. You see,
on the global scale, you mean?
Yes. You see, COVID-19, came with attendant, and concomitant, problems and palaver, which directly destroyed the global economy. Nigeria is not an exception. Now, when there's a problem, the first thing to think about is solution. Solution can be, prophylactic. It could be palliative, and it could be panacea. Now, the first, solution the Western nations, thought of was to adopt, a palliative solution. They begin to put in place measures, to cushion, the very harsh effects, brought by, COVID-19.
Which you welcome greatly.
Which we welcome greatly. In America, for example, people who were unable to, pay their mortgage,
attend to their basic needs.
Payments were suspended. Food stamps, became available, were made readily available, for people who could no longer feed themselves. People who lost their job were being, taken care of, by the government. Ditto European countries. In Africa and in Nigeria in particular, the government, could not, put in place sustainable and enduring palliative.
Probably because they are still developing nations.
That could address, the problem of the people.
Is it not because they are still developing as compared to the developed countries?
What the government here, was doing was to store Indomie, bags of rice in warehouse, and giving it away to a no-gays. Who didn't need these things? Giving it away, to politicians. People like us, were left, to fend for ourselves. That was when vaccine had not been found. People lost their job without, a consequential, response, from the government.
Are you saying all of this? Are you saying all of these are responsible for the poor attitude of the people towards being vaccinated?
Yeah, I'm giving you, possible, factors that could be responsible, for why people are not, responding.
Taking it seriously.
They're not taking it seriously because government in itself, cannot be trusted. Now, when, the problem was looming, they were left in the cold to fend for themselves. Now, immediately the vaccine came, all of a sudden, there's a U-turn. The same government, that adopted a lackadaisical attitude and approach, to the problem of COVID is now compelling individuals, everybody, to go and take COVID. And if you don't take it, you are restricted, your movement is limited. It's somehow government and its policies, must be, enacted and enforced with human face. Once there's absence of human face, the people you are to govern will not be there to stand with you. And if you do not have people, to govern, the essence of government.
I know we are coming to a tipping point where issues about litigations concerning these policies on vaccination will be really generated.
Of course.
But again, Roy, let's look at the need for the global space, the global people, the humans, to accept this vaccination, because it's all over the globe. Even in developed polities, we see our citizens in America, the white, cutting across different races, seem not to be accepting the theory or the vaccination that is being given to them. What do you think can mitigate these setbacks?
To me, I'm an apostle, an unrepentant supporter of vaccine. I want people to take vaccine.
Okay.
Yes, the primary function of government is the welfare. The welfare of the people is paramount. And for we to get that right in this part of the world, the first very day that issue of vaccination came in, I was in this program when I submitted myself. I said, well, since we have been told by scientists, I am not a scientist, that the only way for you to escape is for you to take the vaccine. I submitted myself, and I keep on telling everybody who care to listen, go and take your vaccine.
In spite of the various theories that were evolving.
Of course, people will come with different theory. It's only in Africa or in Nigeria. Even in US, as a country in the US, where about 72,000 workers who are health workers who refuse to take the jab. They are in court challenging it. Some say because of their religious background, some say because of their cultural background, their tradition. They have different reasons not to take. But my point is that in this part of the world, in Nigeria, if all of us take a decision now, we want to take vaccine, will it be available?
Are the doses there?
Are they there? These are some of the constraints. And that's the reason why I said the Nigerian government need to be very careful, because some of the approach and method they bring to bear, they are all lazy man approach, copy and paste approach that have never been a solution.
But it's not restricted to Nigeria. Don't forget.
That's why.
The same way. Let's look at the aspect of the people coming out en masse to be vaccinated. Even in developed countries, when they also have shortages.
I am telling you.
The question you just raised now concerning Nigeria, is it not also applicable to developed countries like the US and even UK?
In developed country, you saw incentive. Naturally, people were not moved to take the vaccine, but they saw the incentives attached to it.
the carrot approach.
You know, that was the reason why I said when I use that copying approach, it's a theory that Nigeria is not part of Nigerian society. Anything you hear they are doing in the Western world, you will copy it down. Without copying it. You understand me? And that's the reason why I said people naturally, human being natural, sociological theory have demonstrated to us that human beings, there are tendency to be deviant. But what you do is for you to set up a system that will make them to see that this is for your benefit.
Like an institution,
now,
like what the government is really doing.
If we are to use Nigeria as a case study, you will agree with me, the records are there, that there is a total demarcation between the leaders and the led. That those in position of authority are we that are on the street. There is a big difference. Therefore, those on the streets always were suspecting those in power. And that's the reason why if they even give you rice, say go and cook and eat, you are not too sure. Some of us will be thinking that they want to take your destiny. They have not been able to show over the year to demonstrate that this is a government that cares for the people. And that's the reason why people are suspicious. Now, how come the government is not pushing us to go and take this vaccine? You understand me?
When the government did not provide palliative.
To me, because of that fear that it had to be there over the years. And that's the reason why I'm doing. And now, how do you even now reconcile that some of us who took the vaccine, that United Kingdom, as I said, they said they will not recognize our certificate.
Yes.
What now happen tomorrow? The level of Nigerians who are willing to take is going to depreciate drastically. Those who heard the news today or yesterday, no, why do you want to take the vaccine again? If you want to leave this country, you don't need our vaccine because it is better for you just to save yourself to the United Kingdom. When you get there, go on isolation for 10 days. They will give you their job. Then you forge their hand. Why taking Nigeria? These are the issues. Until the Nigerian government is able to build that confidence in us, equip the people with the necessary information, there is no reason why those on the street will be suspecting those who are in leadership. Okay. Are you aware that some Nigeria, if you do a census, that some Nigerians believe that those in position of authority, what you are just seeing on the screen, that some of them took their job. We saw some people believe that it's a mere small screen, fabricated and designed to give an impression that Oga don't take her. You know, we are on the street, man, talking to you now. It's a man from the street.
Are you a street man?
Thank you.
Are you a street man?
Thank you, Roy. I'll be coming back to you. In case you're just joining us, it's International Forum, and we are looking at the COVID-19 solidarity response. It behoves the countries across the globe to ensure that they really vaccinate a huge population of their people, as at September ending, as said by the World Health Organization. But a lot of countries, like over 50 countries, were not able to meet this target as set by the WHO. And most of these countries seem to be based in Africa. We have the low-income countries. We have issues with the COVAX sharing scheme that a lot of African countries really rely upon. Then we have the issues of the developed polities going ahead to get these vaccines, even while they were not yet vaccines, having a deal with the manufacturers. This again is a setback to getting the huge populations of countries basically in Africa really vaccinated, as we have it in the UK, the United States, and other countries. Well, I've been having a chat with St. Michael Egwagie, who is a legal practitioner, and of course Roy Oriwabo with me, and we'll be taking a short break, after which we'll be extending the frontiers of this discussion. Stay with me. Thank you. It's still International Forum as we are looking at the aspect of the COVID-19 solidarity response. The countries globally looking forward to ensuring that we have a better tackle on the COVID-19 as it is. Now, we have this whole issue concerning trust, which is basically eaten deep in terms of distrust, eaten deep into the citizenry. We have the developed countries where citizens, for instance, in America, in UK, they are having doubts over the processes by which these vaccines are approved. Some are saying that, well, the measures taken aren't far-reaching enough. Some are saying even after the first and second dose is taken, they still have issues of deaths. And now, are these deaths COVID-19 related? And now we have the issue where the son of the late renowned luminary, Rotimi Williams, also died in the process, Ladi Rotimi Williams. And after taking, as reports have it, first and second doses, we also have this issue of deaths. But again, let's not rule out the aspect of underlying issues, underlying conditions that some people may have. And doesn't that also show that the vaccination, again, may not be able to tackle quickly, or if people have the underlying conditions as is being reported?
Well, Philip, I'm not an expert in that area that you are pushing me to. But all I know is that there are a lot of issues, multifarious issues, arising from trust deficiency between the leadership and the led. And this trust deficiency is not peculiar to Nigeria as a state. It's a global issue. Simply because people do not trust the leadership to always take care of their interest. For example, if I have a father and I know that my father will always do the right thing at every material time, to protect my interest, I do not need my father to compel me to comply with a certain initiative or policy of his. You understand? So there has been this, absence of dialogue, constant dialogue or rapport, between the leadership and the led. A dialogue, that would have, created a sense of understanding. It is that understanding that builds confidence and trust. Once, there's absence of dialogue, there can be no understanding. And when there's no understanding, then there will be a shortage of confidence and trust. And that is exactly what has, been going on for a very long time in Africa. Because an average African has been so, poo-pooed and, devastated by, the indifferent attitude of the leadership. So much so that a popular activist in Africa, the person of Professor, what's this man's name from Kenya?
Lumumba.
Lumumba, said that what do you expect when you place, cattle, to be taken care of by hyenas? The hyenas will eat them up. That's the situation we find ourselves in Africa. So how do you expect, the African people, to trust the leadership who is unable to take care of them, by way of, provision of palliative?
Okay,
at a time when, COVID-19 was so devastating.
Let me quickly cut in. Like you said just now, I really wasn't pushing you to speak as an expert in the medical field. But again, I'm asking you that same question, which yes, I expect you follow up in a more logical way.
Yes.
We are looking at the aspect of the people not really embracing what the leaders are giving them.
Yes.
You said it has to do with distrust between the followers and
yes,
the leaders.
Yes.
But again, are you failing? Because you made mention of the fact that Africans are in the pool, like you used.
Yes.
Now, are you failing to also recognize the issue that is posed before developed countries? We have America, like I've reiterated severally. We have UK, where the citizens are also popping up in respect of the vaccines, which gives an impression that it's not just not trusting the government, because that's the developed countries. They've had various policies being tested and tried. They have their systems working. But again, is the aspect of the processes that the vaccines have gone through. Some are saying, well, the years that are given for any product to be authoritatively called a vaccine, the years, they are not meeting up with that target. And so they don't know if the trials were properly researched or looked into before they were rolled out as vaccines. Don't you think you also look at that direction?
You see, I was discussing with my friend based in Louisiana in the US a couple of days ago. And I was just relating to him, the experience that we have in Nigeria here. A lot of people not really, wanting to present themselves to be vaccinated because of the multifarious, theories, popping up here and there. And he was quick, to point to the death of Laddie Williams, that it is the incidents of Laddie Williams that keep, giving validation, to some of these theories.
That the vaccines are not working on?
Yes. That, it may not be true that the vaccines are not working, but there are question marks here and there. And this question mark has made it mandatory for the governments, to compel the scientists, to come together and look at these questions critically and address these questions. Not until these questions are addressed, people will still be, skeptical. For example,
most especially as they are being given indemnity, the manufacturers have been given indemnity from whatever
the
issues that may pop up in the process of taking these vaccines.
A friend of his in Louisiana took the first jab, took the second jab, and still fell to the almighty sword of COVID-19 days before the event of Laddie Williams occurred. Now, what do you have to say to that? People, living within that environment and that surrounding, who experienced, that event, will be very, very skeptical, to present themselves.
I think that's what the world is really faced with.
So what people think at the moment is that scientists world over are compelling people to present themselves as guinea pigs.
Especially in
that
Africa.
If you have to compare me, to present myself as guinea pig, eroding the fundamental elements of choice, as well as free will, it raises a question mark.
Okay, I'll come back.
Is there something?
That question mark is basically what I would want you to expand upon, because you are a custodian of the law, but I wouldn't want you to dedicate that to the question. Is there
something the government, the world over, is benefiting from the distribution and the consumption of this COVID that we don't know about?
You know what you do? Pick that rhetoric question and drop in your pocket. We'll bring it up after this time out. But let's look at what your responses are, because I really raised that question in order for us to put this on a better pedestal.
Yeah.
Because the world's people are asking questions about what are the processes these vaccines went through before they are being administered. Now, how do we really dampen that confusion?
The process, that is the reason why when you were talking about the World Health Organization just now, WHO, and I said they are a supervising body organization as far as I'm concerned. They also have this responsibility to look at the formulation of vaccines. What are the processes and the process they have to undergo before they can be called a vaccine.
But don't forget, we are at an emergency pace.
And that is the reason why in an emergency situation, when you're in an emergency situation, you have to also apply an emergency solution. And that is what you are seeing in the world. I'll keep on telling you and reminding you that don't forget that I'm an apostle. An apostle of vaccine. You must take your vaccine.
Yes.
You understand me? No matter the situation, you must take your vaccine.
But are you looking at what the emergency situation may degenerate towards? Because that's the fear that a lot of people have.
People are scared. People are being enveloped in serious trepidation because, one, over the years, government have not shown that love that superior and supreme love.
Are you talking about the developing countries?
Even within using Africa, because I'm mostly bothered about Africa. Okay. You know, I'm bothered about Africa.
Okay, you are not really bothered about the development because they've already passed that goalpost. They've already passed that stage.
At this level,
but don't forget, the US, they are still battling with vaccinating their citizens.
But
they are only a little bit above 60% of vaccinating their population.
I can assure you now, if they are little above 60%,
which is a good mark,
and Nigeria we are dragging to get 3%, which one will you celebrate? My brother, there are different theories associated with this vaccine, not to take or not to take. Even in the US, I monitor it. Some people are questioning. There are theories that are even more spiritual theories concerning the vaccine. There are religious theories. Depend where you find.
There are also scientific theories.
But yes, this valid
scientific theories.
Do these theories help the world? Because this quite what is causing a setback in terms of the attitude of the people embracing this vaccination.
I told you just, and there are sociological theories that deposit and formulate that humans have tendency to be deviant. What happens is that you subjected to a superior evaluation. When you subject them, they will not know. And now people are coming on, the scale will the fear will continue until the world will not raise the bar to say, no, these are not the issues. Why are you scared? Some people believe that when you take this vaccine, it's a sign of the end time. That the Bible implication stated to us.
We can't go into all of that.
No,
we don't have the statistics to say that.
That's what I'm telling you, based on religious theory.
Spiritual.
People are civilized as in US. I think New York, there's a state that where people are saying, no, my religion will not allow me to take vaccine. As civilized as that environment. I'm just quoting from there. When you come to Africa, there are also cultural theories that you cannot just bring something.
High sociological theory.
Yeah, you will come there. They are trying to break down so that you will know the reason why people will continue to be scared. Okay. And that's the reason why the only thing that will serve as a solution is that government must raise their thinking ability to allow people see that this we are not after you, rather we are for you. Okay. When people see that the government is for them, and you prove it, and the records are there, people will not be scared of taking vaccine. This is not the first time we are taking vaccine in this country. If you want to travel, if you want to leave this country, there is one vaccine card you have to drop before the advent of this this deadly coronavirus. Okay. We have the yellow fever vaccine. We have the card. Anytime leaving this country, I will have to show my card, and they recognize it. But we get to a time now in this country that people are saying that anything coming from this country is no longer recognized. And that is suppose why I say we should be bothered. And we have to be bothered. And I don't want to take World Health Organization serious in this angle. Do you know why? Because World Health Organization, they live on donation. They are also different from the position of Nigeria who are mere beggars in the international community.
Okay, are you talking about sincerity of purpose? Are you talking about sincerity of purpose on the part of the World Health Organization?
It will not be there because I told you how a very good man that believes so much, Donator, how he questioned the audacity and the authority of World Health Organization. And you see the way Amanda, if US pull out of that organization, who will not do the funding? Those who are funding
China will step up.
No, if China also pull out, who will not fund it? Can you not tell those people who are funding you to closing the gap? You are telling them how do we closing the gap? As instead of you not to be looking at it, how do we even get our vaccine? You are looking at how an organization that based far away. How does it not know what happened to me? Is that the solution we are looking for? No, this is a serious matter.
Philip is obviously missing the point.
We must try to look at it because, as far as I'm concerned, one organization is a body is there supervising. It's only what you give them that they supervise. When you are it doesn't when we're in the school, when you write your project, you give it to your supervisor to supervise. If you don't write it, we don't supervise anything. Therefore, you cannot now come back and be telling me that the World Organization can bridge the gap. They don't have what it takes to do that. What they can do, and let me tell you, what they can do is for them to tell the world, the third world nation like Nigeria, that there is no need for you to become begging. Because you are coming to beg, these persons who are directly in charge, they want to take care of their citizens. As we are talking today, about 6.36 billion people are so far be vaccinated. In US, about 300-something million are so far be vaccinated in US. You go to the United Kingdom, it's say no, but they are doing well. You go to China, they are doing well. But in Africa, we are not doing well. And Nigeria is a country that the whole world is looking at.
Okay.
Because of our population. Therefore, if our population is a threat to Africa, and it's also a threat to the world. Therefore, we must be very careful how do we handle this issue. The way we are going in terms of Nigeria and Nigerians who are not willing to take vaccine, I want to appeal to all of them. Okay. That the vaccine is for their own good. Go and take your vaccine. But you should also be very careful when you are taking your vaccine. Okay. You understand? Yes, because what kills a man is psychological.
Don't submit yourself for the consumption of expired vaccine.
No. We are coming there.
If you are psychological about vaccine, there are some people who go there, if I take this vaccine, I will die.
They go with a mindset.
A mindset that I will die. Especially when people are coming with different theories that have never been subjected to any critical thinking. That evaluation. That a man took a vaccine in one village that he died in next day. When people start hearing that kind of thing, the morale will go down.
But I'm not sounding like an expert in this.
No, but I'm a sociologist by training. I did a lot of social work. I'm a social worker. You know, this is government by training. I'm a social worker. Government will be able to come out to give people that confidence that you have to take vaccine. But the Nigerian government is not doing that. Instead of Nigerian government to do that, what they are doing, they are resorting
to bullying.
Yes,
trying to bully the people.
Trying to bully the people. That when you are coming to a burial, before you can enjoy the rice, you must take your vaccine. You look at Nigeria. I'm discussing Nigeria. I'm telling you what is happening in Nigeria. I'm not discussing Edo State. I'm telling you in Nigeria, this is what is happening. If you go to some states in Nigeria, this is what is going on.
Okay.
What do we need? We need a civilized approach to all this. Let people know. Let people be on the streets.
Okay.
Conscientizing people.
Thank you, Roy. You've articulated a point. Thank you, Roy. You've articulated a point. But don't forget that the coach here, I'm in charge here. So let's look at the issues where you said that we shouldn't just look at the WHO, not aspect of bridging the gap. Yeah. How will it get to Odua? Yes. But don't forget that what happens at the global level, what happens at the macro level, basically trickles down to the micro.
Of course.
If the policies by WHO are being maintained in a point where we are having improvement, and this whole drive. No, before it goes down to all
before you answer that, the superiority you are giving to the World Health Organization is about that. Are you aware that when this virus came out from China, the Chinese did not allow, the Chinese authority did not allow the World Health Organization to visit the site. Yes. All of us were here mobilizing the world so that they will give an opportunity for we to visit the site, so that we can formulate a theory and a workable solution.
Thank you.
Why are you believing, you're believing this World Health Organization is my issue. It's my brother.
I'm not taking any opinion.
No, it's my brother because you are looking at, it's a supervising organization. They can't do otherwise.
I'll come back to you. Now, let's address the rhetoric question that I told you to drop in your pocket. We're looking at litigations, for instance, that may be coming up as a result of this. Now, again, don't forget that this, what he's calling bullying, is not only entirely restricted to a particular country. We have people in developed countries where they are shown the way out if they do not get themselves inoculated. Mostly the health workers. It's happening in the US, it's happening in the UK. What do you think should be done? We have these countries where freedoms are given. They have liberty, they have rights. How do you tackle that as a legal practitioner?
You see, as an individual, just like Roy, I'm also an apostle of vaccine.
Have you taken your vaccine?
We cannot overemphasize the importance of vaccine.
Okay.
If it has been scientifically proven that a certain vaccine exists, to build immunity and help, conquer the diabolical effects of this disease, why not? We must, present ourselves.
After a lot of persons that have been inoculated, they are doing well.
To be vaccinated. But at the same time, when a patient is in the hospital ward and that patient believes that he doesn't do well with fencing, and the physician is compelling that patient,
so guess it's right,
to take that fencing, there is something fundamentally wrong with that. There is need, for a physician to be humane and be listening at times, knowing fully well that every individual have their peculiar nature.
So are you saying that by this enforcement there are legal implications?
Certainly, legal implications. The courts very soon is going to be flooded with several litigations. I belong, to a group that has even gone to court at the moment.
In this respect?
Yes, Barrister Prest, Agbuka, my callmates and my friend, my classmate in the university, is already in court, in respect of this same matter. And the first hearing came up, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. But if we're looking at the provisions of the Constitution, in times of emergency, exigencies, yes,
is it not the responsibility of the government to step up using these measures in order to protect lives?
You see, there is what this man said, Obafemi Awolowo, and I quote.
Okay.
He said, the inflexible insistence on the curative when there's a sharp disagreement between the patient and the doctors in attendance could prove fatal.
Okay, thank you.
To both parties.
Okay, thank you.
Are you getting it now? What I'm saying, just like Oriwabo said, and it appears you are not listening to him, in trying to lift the veil of World Health Organization, who is a body designed, to service the interests of the highest donors. Because without these subventions from nations and the donor, that come from the donor nations,
all right,
World Health Organization cannot operate.
Okay.
And that is the reason why the late Tanzania president, John Pombe Magufuli, asked a very rhetorical question before he died.
Thank you.
He said,
thank you.
He said, if China can, conquer the devastating effect of COVID-19 without a single jab of vaccine, why is the West forcing Africans, to be vaccinated?
Thank you, Michael. Saint Michael. Thank you. Big thanks. Thank you, Babo. A lot of questions have been raised here in respect of this, and I won't believe that you've not ventilated your points enough.
Of course.
Okay, round up in 10 seconds, please.
My issue is that the government must must talk to the people, must be very polite in their approach, must be civilized in their approach.
Okay.
We must allow people to have a way to think.
Okay.
And I also believe, I also calling on the people that the only way for you to live is to take your vaccine. Go and take your vaccine.
Thank you, Rory Babo. Just spell it out, and it's mandatory, it's sacrosanct that we do this to save lives. On behalf of the entire production team that made this edition a success, my name is Philip Omo Gupon. I'm saying goodbye. Stay away from trouble and get inoculated.